What's up y'all, Kirk here, and welcome back to the Geek Effect. In today's video I have another figure review for all of you, and we're going to be taking a look at another Marvel Legends retro card Spider-Man figure. As you guys may know, I absolutely love this line, and anytime they make a new figure for this collection, I'm always down to go ahead and add it to my collection. The figure we're going to be taking a look at today is the Marvel Legends retro card Lizard, which is one of their current releases for the retro card line, and it was also a Walmart Con exclusive or something like that, so I'm glad I was able to get my hands on this, and we're going to be talking about it all here on the Geek Effect. So here we are with the Marvel Legends retro card Lizard, and I've been waiting for this character to be added for the retro card line for a bit now, and I'm glad that the Hasbro team finally decided to make this happen. It looks amazing, and I can't wait to get this thing unboxed. The accessories look good too. I'm looking forward to playing with those and also seeing how that whole bendy wire tail works. I'm glad that they went with that idea rather than a stiff tail, because having the bendy wire definitely does give this a bit more playability to it and just having fun with the articulation and everything of this character. When it comes to the packaging though, as we can see, we have that standard Toy Biz style packaging that we see with all the other retro card stuff for Spidey or Fantastic Four. Nice 90s style Toy Biz packaging with the Marvel Comics logo in the corner with that 90s style to it. Spider-Man logo, character artwork of Marvel's Lizard, has him in a nice pose done by Harry Moore Design, and then we also have a bit of text at the top of that says Lashing Tail, and then in the center with the window, of course, we have the character in there. You can see everything that he comes with, and then there's also a sticker up there that says Spider-Man 60 Amazing Years, and this is because they've been doing stuff to celebrate the 60 years of Spider-Man and calling it Beyond Amazing, and so they've done this figure. I think Renew Your Vows is also a part of that, and same thing with Amazing Fantasy, and I think some other stuff. I just can't remember all of them that are marketed under that whole branding and everything like that. But I do like the sticker, it looks nice. And then when we flip this around to the back, of course, we're going to have some more stuff like the blueprint sort of artwork of the character. Shows that you can swap out the heads, swap out the hands, and then we also have another character shot for Lizard. And then a read up on the character which says, desperate to be whole again, geneticist Kurt Connors injects himself with a regenerative serum derived from reptile DNA, only to find himself transform into the monstrous Lizard. And then that pretty much wraps everything up for that. Of course, we have all the warnings and everything at the bottom. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get this guy out of the box. So here we are with the Marvel Legends retro card Lizard, and I am really excited to get a closer look at this figure. But right off the bat, I'm pretty impressed with how this figure turned out. I think that they did a pretty solid job of recreating this character. And although Lizard does have a very simple sort of outfit, I guess, with the whole lab coat and everything like that, this still has a good bit of detail to it, and it's such a fun looking figure too, and I'm looking forward to having him on display with my other retro card figures from Spider-Man. But let's go ahead and get a closer look at this thing. So here we are up close to the Marvel Legends retro card Lizard, and to kick things off, we have the head sculpt, of course, which I do like how this turned out. They really did capture the look of Lizard pretty well, especially if you were to compare it to the Steve Ditko style artwork from the comics. It looks very close to that, and I definitely think that this turned out pretty neat. You can see all the texture and everything on this head with the scaly pattern to the character. There's even like some sort of like black wash in between that pattern just to add that extra bit of detail and make things pop out. So I do like how they did that. You can see the sculpting and everything for the mouth, the tongue that's in there with some nice coloring. And then same thing with like the eyes and everything. Just this whole scale pattern just looks very solid, very neat. You can even see how it leads down toward the neck on the sides, the front, at the back as well, just like how all of that turned out. This is definitely going to be the head sculpt that I see myself using on this one more than the other one that he comes with, to be honest, because I like how this one turned out. The other one was neat, which we'll show that later with the accessories, but This is definitely a winner for me. Moving down towards the torso though, we can see the other details of this character, starting with the lab coat and everything, which this has a nice soft plastic material to it. It feels very smooth as well, and it's in this solid white color. We can see the details like the buttons over there, and then on this other side we have like the slits and everything for where the buttons would go, the pocket, some wrinkle details and everything for the sculpting, which I think that those do look pretty good. And then you can of course see the collar and everything for his lab coat too. And then at the ends of his sleeves, if you look right there, you can see all of the fringes and everything for that tattered sort of look. Same thing on his other sleeve as well. So I do like that they did that to show that he's bursting out of his lab coat with the whole mutation and like transformation that's going on with the character. Definitely adds that extra bit of detail. And then when you look at the black shirt that he's wearing underneath that, very solid black color to it. Not a whole lot of detail or texture. It feels very smooth, but you do have some wrinkle details here and there, some at the top of the torso with the chest and everything, and then some at the waist. And then if you lift it up at the back, you can kind of see more of that off there, some at the like hip joint to kind of get that ab crunch and everything over there. But it does look good, and I do like how it turned out. And you can see some more of the lab coat and everything at the back with the other wrinkle details and how that turned out. When you look at the hands and everything, you can see more of those scale patterns and just this very slimy, I guess, sort of look and lizard type look, I guess if that makes sense, to the hands. And I do like how the sculpting turned out for those. It's very wide and everything. You can see the bones and everything underneath that scaly pattern. Same thing with the other hand. So that definitely did turn out pretty well. I think that this is definitely going to be one of my favorite figures that I picked up this year and also added to my retro Spider-Man collection. Moving down towards the legs though, we have some other details like the pants with all of that sculpting, wrinkles, buttons, of course the other details like more of the tattering and stuff at the ends of his pants legs. So those look nice, more wrinkles bunching up at the knee joints and everything. And then of course with the feet, we have all the scaly patterns. Once again, the very big and wide sort of feet and the toes. Same thing with the other leg. And then when you look at the back, this is where we have something that I guess you can kind of consider to be an accessory, but I attached this before we started taking a look at this figure because it completes the figure. Obviously, he's not going to go around with just his tail detached, but this is the bendy wire tail, and this thing is very neat. You kind of see some of the bendy functions of it a bit and kind of how it holds its place. And you can see all the sculpted details and everything of it and just how it turned out. It's a very detailed piece. I like what they were able to do here. And of course you have more of that black wash and everything sort of like here and there on the tail just to add that extra bit of detailing. You can see some of it underneath and how that looks. This turned out to be a very awesome looking figure. Moving along to the accessories for Retro Card Lizard, we do have a nice selection here. And to kick things off, we do have that alternative head sculpt, which I mentioned earlier. This thing is very detailed and I like how it turned out. You can see the same scaly pattern and texture that we saw with the Ditko style head. As I said earlier, I do see myself using the Ditko style head more than this one, but this one is still a killer head sculpt. I like how that turned out. You can see the yellow eyes along with the very thin pupils in there and black. Of course, the black wash and everything in between the scaly pattern to add that extra bit of detail. You can see his teeth showing and his tongue sticking out. This is a really solid looking head sculpt. And then of course, if you want to swap things out, you just pop off that Ditko style head, pop this one on, and you have a whole new look to your Retro Card Lizard. It definitely does feel very reminiscent of the animated series from the 90s for Spider-Man 2 with that whole look of the character that we saw, and I do like this one. In addition to the head sculpt, we do have two additional hands for Retro Lizard, and these hands do look nice. One of them is in the fisted position, has some nice sculpting to it, the whole scaly pattern and everything going on there, and then the other hand is in the gripping position for the other two accessories that he comes with. I like the sculpting and everything for both of these, and it does look pretty detailed, and as usual, you can swap these in and out with the hands that are already on the figure to change things up a bit, add a bit of variation to how your lizard is displayed and posing and everything if you want to take photos and stuff of him. So I'm looking forward to putting these into use. And then the final two accessories we have here for the Retro Card Lizard are these two flasks. This one right here is the Erlenmeyer flask, and then the other one we have here is the Florence flask. These both look amazing. I do like the sculpting of it, and you can see that the outer shell of it is in this nice transparent color, and then in that we have two different colors. This one in a sort of, I guess, translucent red or like pinkish sort of color, and then the other one in this translucent yellow color, just to add some extra detail to it rather than just having empty flask. But maybe, you know, sometime in the future we could see these as empty flask for another character. I don't know. I know these are going to be being reused or are reused for the retro card Beast that's going to be coming out with his lab coat and the soft good lab coat and everything. So it's going to be nice to have those in the collection again once I get that figure. But these do look nice, and of course, like I said, these can be used with the gripping hand that the figure does come with. You can simply just place them at the stem of the flask in his grip, and then pose the figure with them, and just have a bit of fun with them. So when it comes to the articulation, the retro card Lizard does have a nice range of motion all around, and I do think he's going to be a lot of fun to pose, and of course, like take photos and stuff of him. And I think that if you pick this up, you'll definitely have a good bit of time with him as well. Starting with the head area, we do have a 360-degree turn for the head, which is nice, and then same thing for the neck joint. And so with those being two different points of articulation, that means you can get some nice tilting when you tilt that upward for the character, tilt it downward, you can see how that looks, and then you also have some nice tilting going to the side, and then the side, once again, I do like how that turned out. The torso area does have a diaphragm cut right there, which means a 360-degree turn for the figure's torso. And then, of course, there's a hinge joint right here, which allows you to hunch him over pretty far down. I do like how that turned out. Then you can arch him back like this if you're kind of having him like shouting at the sky or something like that, like waving his tongue around and everything like that. Definitely can capture that look. And then when you look at the sides with the arms, you can see that there's range of motion there too. With that swivel in the shoulder, you can raise the arm up as high as that. Same thing with this one. There's bicep swivel. Then you also have the double jointed elbows in both of the arms to get those in as far as that. Kind of looks like he's like teasing you or something like that. It looks weird, but I do like how that looks. And then you also have the swivel in the wrist. And then you can arch them back as far as this. That's where they stop. And then arch them down as far as that. And that same thing goes for the other hand as well. And then when you move down to the legs, you do have the ability to raise the legs up as high as that. That's kind of where it stops. And then same thing goes for the other leg too. And then if you want to split them apart like that, it's kind of where it stops right there. And then there's also some thigh swivel. And then you also have the double jointed knees in both of the legs to get those in pretty nice. I do like how those look. And then there's also like a boot cut in his leg too. So you can rotate that 360 degrees too with that swivel, which is nice. And then for the foot, of course, you have the ankle rockers, be able to tilt those side to side, angle that downward, and then angle that inward. But then taking a look at the back of the figure, we do have a look at the bendy wire tail once again, and we can see the motion that's on this thing. It does attach to a peg that's at the back of the figure, and there's a peg hole on the tail so that you can plug that in there. And then that'll stay attached and then complete the look of the character. But you can rotate this 360 degrees and just kind of reposition it and stuff. And of course, with the tail, having that bendy wire in there allows you to get some nice positions out of it, kind of mess around with it. And it looks awesome. You can just see, you know, how it holds the position of it. It does take some working a bit, and not all points of it kind of hold it. It's like when you move up towards the base, it doesn't really hold too much in there. It kind of goes back down, but it's more so like at the midsection that bendy wire holds its place. You can just kind of have some fun with it. So, like I said, work around with it, just play with it, and just be able to see how you can get those poses out of it. But it is going to be a lot of fun to mess with this figure and take photos and stuff of it. It did turn out pretty nice with the articulation. As usual, I'd like to show a bit of a size comparison of the figure that we're taking a look at along with other Marvel Legends in my collection. And so with me today, I have a bunch of the retro card figures, starting things off with the classic red and blue suit from Wave 1, and then Gwen Stacy. And you can see how these figures look side by side. You can see all the details and everything of them. As I said earlier, retro card Lizard does fit that whole theming and everything and style of like the characters when it comes to the other retro card figures very well. And so you can see how that is front facing. You can see that from the side, from behind, and then at the side once more. Next up, we have both the retro card Peter Parker and retro card Shocker next to Lizard, and you can see how these two characters look front facing next to the character. You can see how that looks from the side. Then you can see it from behind, and then from the side once more. Then bringing out the more bulky and muscular characters, we have both the Retro Card Thing and Retro Card Venom from PulseCon next to Lizard. You can see that both of these characters are definitely taller than Lizard. When you look at it front facing, you can see it from the side, then you can see it from the back, and then from the side once more. Then to wrap things up, we have two more Spidey suits right here with the Retro Card Cyborg Spider-Man and then the Retro Card Symbiote Spider-Man. We can see that these are basically the exact same height that we saw with the classic suit Spidey, and these do look nice next to each other. You can see it front facing, you can see it from the side, from the back, and then the side once more. Alas, we come to the end of the road with the Marvel Legends Retro Card Lizard, and I do like how this figure turned out. As I stated earlier, the outfit and everything is very simple when it comes to this character, so there isn't a whole lot to write home about when it comes to detail, I guess, with like the outfit and everything, but just in general, it does have the detail where it matters. I do like the texture and everything when it comes to the head sculpts and, the hands and everything. They did capture this whole scaly look pretty well, and even with that black wash and everything that you kind of see in between the scaly pattern for both of the head sculpts to add that extra bit of detail, and same thing that we kind of see on his bendy wire tail. That's nice. I do like the sculpting and everything when it comes to the pants and, the sleeves of the lab coat having those tattered looks to them at the ends of it. So that is nice to have that there. The accessories are also pretty neat too, with the additional hands. And then of course the flask that he comes with the Erlenmeyer flask and then that Florence flask. Those look nice. And I'm hoping to see those used more with other characters in the future. Like I said earlier, we are going to be having that with the Retro Card Beast that's coming out. So I'm looking forward to messing around with those and having that figure in hand too, especially with that soft good lab coat piece that we're getting for him. Really looking forward to that. But in general, this is a very fun figure to mess around with. Looking forward to taking photos and stuff of him. And I definitely would recommend picking this up. I know that he is currently out of stock on Walmart if you're looking to pick it up from there. But if you have the opportunity to pick it up, even if it's on like the aftermarket or something like that, 10 out of 10 recommend you picking this up, especially if you're into collecting stuff for the Retro Card Spider-Man line. This is definitely a must-have. With that being said though, I do hope you all enjoyed this review. If you guys did, be sure to go ahead and give it a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and share your thoughts on this figure down in the comment section below, and let's talk about it. Also, stay tuned because on October 21st, which is actually my birthday, I'll be sharing some info on the secret project that I've been working on over the past few months, and kind of giving you guys a bit of a teaser of that. So stay tuned for that. I'll be posting it here on YouTube. I'll be posting it over on Instagram and wherever else I can post it, just to spread the word about it. So I'm really looking forward to that announcement. But with that being said, I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll catch you all later. Peace out.